Hello and welcome to the part 14 on my Pillars of Eternity Definitive Edition blind playthrough. And the last episode we finished up the catacombs and a mysterious ritual which sent us more on more quests into the main story of the game, and we arrived at the inn at Brackenbury where we got a few more quests. So, with without any hesitation, let's continue and enjoy the game. So, this is our party. We are currently 6th level. We are going more into rational, diplomatic, and benevolent reputations, and we'll see what will happen. All we need to do now is getting the Defiance Bay a little bit better than neutral to unlock character quest for there. So the current party is my Cipher, Aloth, Eder, Durance, Kana, and Sagani. This is a manor which we got a quest long time ago in Copper Lane, where we
Certainly.
found by a chance or lucky coincidence a party of thieves who wanted to steal from the manor. So let's go inside.
Margaren's fire casts light in dark places.
Because my playstyle or decisions which I made, I'm going to report the crime and not take an advantage of the plot. I can talk now. The master of the house doesn't tolerate shirking. Speak softly around the lord's daughter, Lynette. She's sensitive. Let's see if we can find here anything. I will speak to Lord in the end. So Lord Raymond doesn't like it when his servants talk to his guests. Sprigs of dried lavender and rosemary infuse the kitchen with a fresh aroma. I can't talk now. The master of the house doesn't tolerate shirking.
And what does the flame reveal?
Here is his daughter. The labels, all perfectly angled outward, boast an array of fine vintages. However, they're all coated in dust. Okay, let's talk to the daughter first and then to the owner of the house. Father never reads to me. He is always busy with his own books. So that's it for the daughter. The ledger lists quantities of wheat, copper, and weir wool. A deep crease along the spine suggests that the book never closes.
How do you do?
Lord Raymond holds a shipping manifest in his well-manicured hands. Despite his expensive clothes, he has the sallow complexion and restless air of a man who devotes all of his day and most of his nights to work. If you have business to discuss, make an appointment with my attendant. I don't have time for unexpected visitors. Tell me about yourself. He snaps the pages in his hands. I am lord of this house and not prone to idle chatter. If you have no business here, I suggest you be off. He doesn't look up from his papers.
Good day to you.
He sighs and shuffles a stack of papers. You again? I've uncovered a plot to rob you. He lowers his papers and looks at you for the first time. Is that so? Let me see. He scans the parchment with the speed of an expert clerk. You have lost an item, the thieves' letter. When he returns his attention to you, his tone is brisk and businesslike. You've done this house and this city a great service. I'm certain you will consider this an adequate reward for your labors. That jewel is worth a lot more than 2,000 pence. Indeed, but notice of a plot does not carry quite the same value. A new ring in the inventory. The corners of his mouth curl into a wry smile. Still, far be it from me to sour a fruitful relationship. Lord Raymond produces another purse. No, I trust that will be all. Mm, What's so important about this gem? The heart of March is nearly a flawless diamond. It's also the patrimony of the dwarfs of White March. It was seized by an Adrian lord in the early days of colonization, and the dwarfs haven't forgotten it. Now the knights and the dozens are both bidding for it to make a peace offering to the dwarfs. He shrugs. Whichever party buys it, the dwarfs will make useful allies for Defiance Bay, especially these days. The letter was signed AD. Does that mean anything to you? I suspect it means Abracam de Menel, the scion of House de Menel. A look of disgust crosses his face. A pampered, pandered lad, if I ever there was one. He's ruthless, I'll give him that much. Unfortunately, he doesn't have the wits to match his appetites. Tell me about House de Menel. They were once an eminent and admired house. Now they're just a den of thieves. Back in the Deerwood colonial days, the Damenel were respected members of the ducal court, which is why it was so surprising that they remained loyal to Eder during Hadred's rebellion. When Hadred and the Deerwood won independence, the Damenels lost their favor, but not their wealth. Rather than return to Eder, like other loyalist houses, they dug their heels in here and turned from politics to commerce. He shrugs. In one way of looking at it, they simply partnered with the wrong side. Not that they haven't prospered since, in their own way. He rubs his jaw. Lately, they've been seeking to carve out a new niche for themselves, one right between the Crucible Knights and the Dozen, it seems. What will you do now? Lord Raymond pinches crisp, sharp creases into the notes. Eliminate the competition. Farewell. I have informed Lord Raymond of the plot to steal his prized jewel, the Heart of White March, from his home. So let's check the ring. Interesting. And I think I give it to Durance. Okay, let's check also the upper floor. Raymond Servant. The old serving woman regards you bleary eyes. Begging your pardon, but I'm afraid I'll have to ask you return downstairs. Visitors aren't permitted on the upper floor. Go back downstairs. How's the manor? Hadred House. Okay, let's go to Hadred House now. And then to House de Mano, and then to Sanitarium.
Laying low.
Let's see if anyone is inside. The marble at the base has been worn smooth by the passage of hundreds of feet. Curran's wasting his time with those disappearances. Lady Webb is in charge of Hadrid House, but she rarely deals with anyone personally. A link, yes, I'm certain of it. This map shows the environs surrounding Defiance Bay. Flex marks strategic access points to the city. There are no secrets in Defiance Bay, not while we're around. The scrolls are wedged tightly in the shelves. Each has a name scrawled along the outside. So let's talk to Coroner.
Hail, traveler.
The Orlan man is surrounded by books and scrolls. His wiry hair stands nearly on end, and his ear picks as you approach. You carry whispers, Kednua, gilded veil, old voices indeed. You're a cipher like me, I'm guessing? He grins, revealing a row of dagger-pointed teeth. You guess what must surely know. My own modest ability suggests that yours are most formidable. Would be quite useful here, of all places. His ears twitch downward. A pity then that my duties for Lady Webb require me to focus my talents elsewhere. He regards a table piled with scrolls. What brings you to Dunrit Row? What are you so busy with? His small furry hands gesture expansive at the papers before him. Hollowborn, growing unrest and the ever-present political intrigues. With so many missing souls, missing persons are the least of our concerns this day. Tell me more about your skills. I check for soul connections, looking for things, missing things, or troublesome things, particularly where people of power and influence are concerned. I'm a cipher. In Erglanfath, we were once known as Brishelgwyn, mine hunters. Nice title, yes, but it wasn't until the Animancers began working with my kind 40 years ago that we truly understood our power. Now, we make some of the best detectives in the world. Tracing souls, we can look at a person and see where they have been, or look at a weapon and see who has touched it. His nose twitches as he looks at you, useful for solving crimes, as you can imagine. Is this affidavit real? It's signed by you. He holds the paper but seems to stare through the words, as if at something woven in the fabric of the paper. Curran bares his pointed teeth. I remember Penhelm, a preening peacock of a man, his mouth dry and hands moist when I told him he was a sole descendant of an Adrian general, one who'd fought against the Hadred's rebellion. He scans the affidavit. A forgery, and not the first I've seen. He hands it back to you, but I've no time for knights and their obsessions. Bring this to his commander Cliver and show him the seal. He points to the wax stamped by his forged signature. If he compares it with another, he should be able to spot the difference. Elot's gaze flickers to you. Doom, a man for a death soul the gods gave him, seems rather unfair. It looks as though you could use some help. Curran wags a clawed finger. Not at liberty to discuss my work, unfortunately. Done it arrow, ears only. A civilian would need the confidence of Lady Webb before I could share. Farewell. Othric was right. Dunrid Rowe found that Penhelm shared a soul legacy with the general of who opposed the Wooden independence. The Crucible Knights would never have admitted him. The document I have is a fake affidavit created to hide Penhelm's tainted soul legacy. Curran has suggested that his superior officer at Crucible Keep, Commander Cliver, can have dealt with him.
Margaret's fire casts light in dark places.
Either these notes are written in code or the author's handwriting is atrocious. A group of notes speculate about the identity and location of a secret sect in Defiance Bay. Affixed to the wall are leads in a case involving, apparently, a caravan that disappeared en route to New Homar.
I'll see what I can find.
Some of these vintages are even older than Defiance Bay. Okay, let's go upstairs.
Hello? Hello?
Coran's wasting his time with those disappearances. Pictures of all manner of folk are pinned to this board alongside notes scribbled in an indecipherable shorthand. If Lady wants to see you, she'll send for you. If Lady wants to see you, she'll send for you. Okay. Good to know.
Keeping an eye out.
The notes are scribbled in a cryptic shorthand.
Your brother. Did you and he get along?
We got along how brothers do. He used to throw water on me to wake me up in the morning. I used to fill his boots with stinging ants.
My own brothers and sisters are doing very well for themselves, back in Tekoa. I don't know that they'd search for me if I were killed so far from home.
Brothers can be funny. I bet you'd be surprised how far they'd go.
Okay, looks like we have a Penhelm guy here, so let's see what he has to say. Penhelm's face is white. Just talked to that little cipher, did you? One of my novitiates told me he's seen someone in the records room. He takes a slow step toward you, extending his hand. Give me the affidavit. I've done nothing to you. His other hand comes to rest next to his sword. Cheer up, you always thought you were someone special soon. Anyone will know you are. He draws his sword and spits at your feet. I won't let you ruin me over this. Okay.
Brave.
Let's use this right away. Let's cast it on himself now, which is this one. Nice. Penhelm tried to kill me to protect his secret. He failed miserably. I can now recover the breastplate and take it back to Osric. I need to retrieve Ostric's breastplate from Penhelm's corpse. Penhelm has been dealt with, and the breastplate is now in my possession. Osric will want to know the outcome.
Certainly.
I think I will just in case go first to the Crucible Knights to Lord Cliver, and then to Copper Lane to finish this quest, and we can then go to Sanitarium.
How's the hand?
Turning purple. I'd have to cut it off.
I warned you not to pet him.
If I'm not supposed to pet him, why is he so soft?
Funny. Have you found that Valian yet? Dunstan needs a research. Goodbye. So nothing new. 'Let's go to Osric then. Osvir. Whatever his name is. And let's hope he can tell us about one missing girl as well. Let's go here to sell some stuff before that. Two more hours. Show me your wares. So let's see what he has to say. Let me know how it goes with the knights. Is this the armor you wanted? Osric waves a moment in disbelief. He looks at you, then back at the breastplate. He reaches for it slowly, as if expecting it to disappear before he can touch it. How did you manage this? You were right about the affidavit. Unfortunately, Penhelm forced me into a fight. A shame it ended like that, but he is the lying weasel who started this. You did all I ask, and you are owed much. He withdraws a leather coin purse from his pocket and hands it to you. Stop by Sonal's shop on the other side of the hall. She sells some of the best gear in the city, and I'll see that she opens her inventory to you. Uh, what is this armor to you anyway? Osric looks around, trying to appear casual. Oh, it's nothing, really. Just a keepsake. He tries to look you in the eye, but when he does, he appears to reconsider. He sighs. It commemorates the Order of Magran, highest Order of Valor, awarded to the dead, never the living. Us, Deerwoodans, real Deerwoodans, we don't have nobility or birthrights, unless you're some copperfucker from Adir. All we got's the honor we bring to our family name. Ah, copperfucker. There's a new one. So this, he pauses, considering the weathered metal, a pale image of its former self, but still catching the light, is something to live up to. Got business? Got business with me? Mm, I'm looking for
You
work.
want an expedition? Talk to Wennon. I just handle these mercenary shit shovelers. Adventurers, I mean.
Very well. Penhel attacked me after I learned about his forgery. Osric seemed to regret his death, but he was glad to have his breastplate back. Okay, let's check the new stuff we have available.
Greetings.
So, the Wilds haven't claimed you yet, she smiles. Good to see you again. Show me your wares. Two might, one constitution. Then the head of a diseased yak. Snarf's folly. Bilestone purse. Summon noble creature. Summon beagle dog. Interesting. No barbarian in party yet. Maybe later. Let's see if Menan has work for us now, after we found the piece of armor for Osric. Menan casually nods your way. His eyes continues to float from mercenary to mercenary as he speaks. What else do you need? I'm looking for work.
I do have something, if you don't mind stepping on the toes of the Crucible Knights. Come to think of it, the Dominels won't be too pleased either. They've never liked seeing someone with nicer things than them.
Where do I begin?
Some of my other expeditions have come back with a rumor about a place called Lea Remen up near Stormwall Gorge. It's supposed to hold some of the greatest weapons those Engwithan bastards ever made, and we've got need of them.
He cast a sidelong glance at you. The knights are meddling in animancy, befouling souls to build metal warriors. Surely you've got enough sense to see how well that's going to do. We've got to be prepared to defend ourselves and the city. If there's anything that can stand a chance against this madness, it's weapons made by the Engwitan themselves. They made the same kinds of abomination in their time. They'd know how to kill 'em. I've sent the Giant Slayers after the weapons, but they haven't had much luck so far. They're better fighters than treasure hunters. Meet up with them at Wooden Plains and see how far they've gotten. If you can get those weapons, I'll see you get your cut. Kinda shakes his head. 1,000-year-old ruins, and their only worth to these people is as a means to get a leg up on the Crucible Knights. Farewell. Vanan fears the news came by the Crucible Knights and is looking for powerful weapons to hold them back. He's asked me to find mighty Angwitan weaponry from the ruins of Leremen. A rival adventuring group, Bain's Gentslayers, was sent but has been unsuccessful. According to Venom, the Giant Slayers couldn't find a way into the ruins. He wants me to meet them at their camp at Wooden Plains to see if they learned anything useful about the site, which is in Stormwall Gorge to the east. Where to go now? Oh, I wanted to check. I still go to the first fires. Hopefully some job from the knights will be also available, and then I need to decide which of them should join. That's all. Okay, I think I have to find first the girl. The girl which will fuse the cells into the armor, but really no one knows where she is. No one at the expedition hall was talking with me about where she might be. Okay, let's visit the domainals and the sanitarium. And then see where we can go further.
Light, flame, and sound. We'll keep to ourselves.
The burly guard eyes you warily. I don't recognize you. What business do you have with House de Manel? Tell me about House de Manel. It's an old and respected family. Much of the Fines Bay prosperity is due to the Manel's business activities. Now, do you have any further business here? Farewell. I will see you out. So that was quick visit.
Light,
Hey, Allah,
flame,
can I,
and sound.
talk to your,
We'll keep to
you know,
ourselves.
your friend?
What is it about Isilmir? I'm right here, you know.
No, you're both great. It's just, well, I feel like I don't get to spend as much time with her, and she's just so funny. I mean, some of the things she says.
Are not nearly as funny when you've been hearing them for 50 years.
I like these banters between the characters. Not many games are doing it right. Okay, just in time. Let's see what we can craft now. I think the Bailey. Okay, 2 more days. So let's visit now the sanitarium. I entered Brackenbury Sanitarium. According to Helic, Mordred keeps everything of value in a trunk in his laboratory. He is giving me key to open it.
Slow and silent.
Sometimes we get people in here trying to make trouble for the Animancers. Warden, an Animancer from the Republic's Banchelo has requested a visit. Extend the formal invitation to see that necessary preparations are made. Of course. This man's soul was torn asunder by biovac. As you can see, the patient is unresponsive, common after soul trauma. The Animancer places a small stone upon the patient's forehead. A portion of his soul was recovered near his body. We used this stone as a vessel for transfer. Can you hear me, Oswin? The patient's eyes slowly open before a panicked, wild expression washes over him. Unfortunately, the extended dissociation has permanent side effects. The patient becomes more agitated, grunting and moaning as he tugs at his bones. With further research, we're confident that we'll be able to rehabilitate patients like Oswin. The table is set with an assortment of leaflets and booklets, with titles like Practical Benefits of Animancy and Soul Adjustment for the Well-Adjusted Soul. Let's talk
How
to
do you
him.
do?
A bald man with crooked nose gestures and demonstration over the still body of a patient before a small gathering of interested onlookers. Feeling your gaze, he pauses his discussion. Have you come to sit in? Um, what is it you do here? Close as we are to the Glenfotton Wilds, we get a number of biovac maimings every year. Survivors dealing with complications from exposure. This fellow here is a severe case. His essence is a mere whisper of what it was. I'm early in my research, only beginning to understand how they work, but in time I hope to find a way to protect people from the storm's effects.
Good day to you.
I'd like to know more about the sanitarium. He gives an eager nod. It's the mission that attracted me here, the treatment of the disturbed. No one else seems to care about them. Here, they've worked wonders for them. I've seen people cured of insatiable hungers and uncontrollable urges. I've seen the crippled walk and the dysphoric smile, all within these walls. The thought that the Duke could put an end to it with a single order, it keeps me up nights.
Welcome.
Hello again. Can I be of some use to you? Do you know anything about awakenings? I'm afraid that's not my area of expertise. A well-maintained statue of a middle-aged man presides over a room, looking down unblinkingly over the bustle of hurried academics, pestered by the hope of the spirit. A strong warmth emanates from it that you could sense from across the room. There is a human soul stored beneath the stonework. You feel its attention turned towards you. It has been some time since a watcher graced these halls. His voice echoes deeply, rumbling the floor beneath you. I am envious of your natural insights, traveler. I can only imagine how it might have helped my work in life. Now, what is that has brought you to my sanitarium? I am curious as to how you come to be in your present state. In the statue, you mean? Well, he laughs. I was old, and it seemed wrong to me. A lifetime spent in pursuit of discovery, only to lose it all in death. Somewhere, someday, I would wake up in a new body, none the wiser, and pursue a different course entirely. All that experience wasted. If we ever to unearth the principles behind our existence, it will be in spite of our condition. Of that I am quite sure. To live on as a part of something I helped build seemed to me a better legacy than what nature had in store. The transfer itself was quite simple, as all techniques go, and for that I am grateful. Playing with cells is far easier to accept when they are not your own. I do miss a I do miss being able to take an active role in the scholarly efforts here. Now and again, one of our animators will humor me and consult over some problem, but they are a jealous breed and are too often afraid to collaborate. If you are considering it yourself, I can tell you that it isn't for the easily bored. Does anyone here know anything about awakenings? There's an animator on the lower floor who came all the way from Reua to study them. Take the stairs down and look for Bella Sage. Tell me about the sanitarium. History lesson. This is a rare pleasure. Most come in here only concerned with cheating death in one way or another. We are an old institution as Deerwood goes. This is our 94th year. As with many cities, the growth of Defiance Bay brought with it a host of problems. One of the worst was that those born with, shall we say, ill-favored souls came to populate its streets in droves, thus the sanitarium. Brackenbury was a natural fit. It was growing, but there was also a lot of money here back then. This place owes its survival to the curiosities of the wealthy. More than anything, I think. Our founding came at a time of great suspicion in Nemensi, much like today, so much progress has been lost to the mishaps of a few careless practitioners. But in time it was forgotten as all things are. Since then, we have been at the forefront of Animensis resurgence. We have played host to many gifted researchers and pushed the boundaries of our knowledge in ways never thought possible. Some of the first safe transferences were done here, and we have pioneered work in cell purification, lineage analysis, preservation. It's really quite a list if you pardon my pride. Today, it's, well, I can't say it's exactly the same. There's been some push to shut us down. It comes from Deerwood's more excitable denizens, whose minds are more passionate than thoughtful, I'm afraid. People see this legacy and they see it involves something they don't understand. So it's natural for them to suspect people whose understanding exceeds theirs. It looks to them like we're hiding something. We have a representative in the palace at this very moment, defending the entire science of animancy at a hearing before the Duke. Absurd as it sounds, if it does not go well, it could be the ends of animancy in Deerwood. If I fear ever may be swayed by all this unrest, irrational thought it may be, we shall see. I'm looking for an animator named Modred. Modred, of course. You will find him downstairs in the first room on the right. You may have a member of Lead and Key in your midst. Telmor groans and the stone around him shudders. I could have done without hearing that today. Many have their intrusions been into our affairs. Of course, one can seldom be certain whether they've meddled or whether calamity has struck it on its own, but a few of their less skilled infiltrators have been exposed from time to time. They are a perpetual nuisance. Once again, I am reminded of how envious I am of your gifts. I suspect they would be of some use in verifying one's identity. You are at odds with the leading K as well, I take it. Um, they are up to something, and I'm trying to determine what. They are always up to something. Of that, you may rest assured. If their plots have come to involve you, you have my sympathies. Do you have some idea of who this person might be? I won't know until I've met them. It would be unwise to consider anyone above suspicion. Yeah, I won't know until I've met them. Very well. In that case, I would recommend you to speak first with our resident animancers. They have frequent interactions with both patients and colleagues. You'll find them up here or in their offices downstairs. You will report anything suspicious to me immediately. This is my only request. Very well. I've been told to look for someone named Bella Siege. She works on the lower floor of the sanitarium. Head Warden Ethelmer invited me to speak to the animators in the sanitarium and see if they noticed anything unusual that might point me to any lead and key involvement here. So let's talk to Admer again.
Hail, traveler.
Hello again, can I be of some use to you? Very well.
Slow and silent.
What your soul may be trying to tell you. Speak with Head Warden Ethelmore if you wish to make an appointment with one of our animancers. This looks like field sketches of Engitan ruins and artifacts. I wouldn't mind being better armed, so what if it makes the clients a little nervous? Animancy means progress and experimentation. Unfortunately, that makes some people uncomfortable.
Silence surrounds me.
Time to go downstairs. This painting of a rolling forest glen has a strangely soothing effect.
Light, flame, and sound. We'll keep to ourselves.
Two-sided. Bella Siege. Here, let's go there. This strange device seems to thrum with power.
Greetings.
A woman paces back and forth, her feet crunching on the soft red carpet. She gestures and mumbles to herself, shaking her head as she pores over pages of notes. She almost walks into you. Ekosi, here I am, looking so hard for answers in my research that I do not see the kid standing in front of me. What can I do? What do you do here? According to my research grant, I study awakenings. Sublimating awakened souls has been one of Animance's greatest successes, and I am working on a method to replicate the process on awakened soul. She gnaws at her lip. But the truth is that I find few suitable objects here. Voidwen's legacy has left plenty of awakened souls, but most are too broken for study. She sighs. I fear I will return to Revua with nothing to show for my efforts. You're in luck. I have a volunteer. She springs to the balls of her feet, beaming. Gillard, who is it? Elot's lips curl into a frown. I don't know about this. She grins more broadly still. Don't be silly. The process is perfectly harmless. All you must do is stand in that cage. I beg your pardon? You Edurans are so uptight. I do not even know what the thing is used for. It belonged to the last occupant of this office, I think. Now they upgrade him to a cell. Again, I just. She rubs her hands together, getting down to business. So, I need you to sit here. She takes Elth by the shoulders and steering him to the couch. And try to relax. But don't try too hard. Then you will not be relaxing. Indeed, his eyes are humorless. And you must also wear these. A little cold, but the copper will help conduct your essence. The Animancer fastens thick copper bands to Alth's forehead and wrists. As she ratchets them tighter, his face twitches with suppressed irritation. No, I will examine your soul through my scope. She reaches into her desk and produces a long, chambered tube. Knobs, dials, and small toothed wheels run along the side of the device. It is fitted with Ardra lenses cut to different thickness and concavities. By manipulating them, I find angles and densities that will allow me to track the anomalies in your soul. Oh, exciting. I've never seen this sort of thing performed. Kana peers at the device with interest. It seems suitably complicated. Does this mean we'll get to talk to Iselmers more? I like that lady. She raises a finger, but first, we must find this cunning interloper. You will answer some personal questions while I make adjustments. Sagani pats his arm. Don't worry, I'm sure we won't hear any of it. Elot squirms on the couch. Very well. She holds the scope to her eye and flicks a knob. To begin, tell me something personal. Something from a time before your awakening. There's nothing to tell. I was just a normal child living in the Sith Wood. He looks to you. His face is set in a frown, but the rigid edges of apprehensions show through nevertheless. What do you remember about your home? As you speak to Aloth, you feel your voice like a bell in your chest. It tolls softly, luring him into the midst of his own memory. Belasich doesn't seem to notice anything, but you feel as if your words are smoothing his essence, untangling its many threads. He closes his eyes, comfortable, modest, quiet when Mother is away, which is most of the time, quiet enough to hear the clink of glass on wood. This is when I know to be most careful. Father is good about hiding the bottles. Mother, when she is home, is good at pretending not to notice them. This is good. I'm starting to see something. Continue. Tell us about the time you awakened. She bites her tongue as she twists one of the dials. I am in my 5th year of training. Mother is home. I can let my guard down a little because when she's around, he is usually only angry with her. But he has heard that I have had trouble casting missiles, that my flame shields are unstable. He is furious that I have failed, and Mother's presence reminds him that he has failed too. The first blow takes me by surprise. One moment I'm sweeping the kitchen, the next I'm sprawled on the ground, stupidly looking at flecks of my blood on the tile, his boots glistening with fresh polish dot across the floor. He kicks me in the stomach and I curl up to shield my vitals. But it's pointless. Protecting one thing only leaves something else exposed. Still, huddled on the ground, I retreat as fast as I can. I retreat until the vision of the kitchen and my own trembling knees is nothing but a pinprick against the field of black. His jaw locks and his eyes twitch beneath their lids. Malicho! Belasich furiously cranks the knobs along the scope. He's hypnotized himself with this old memory. You've got to bring him out of it. Quickly. I almost have it. This is just a memory. It isn't real. Elot's eyes snap open, but the expression you see in them, it isn't his. And with about those riddles you see in the space twixt your ears, they real enough for ya? Belasich sucks a deep breath through her teeth. That's it. I'm seeing a shift in his essence. Something spreading and congealing. She glances at you over her scope. Keep talking. He seems to respond to you. What brought you here? Breaking bones and voices high in air. That warm molasses feeling that creeps down your gut when crisis is nigh. Belfetto. We have flares of a totally distinct essence. She jots shorthand notes onto the pages next to her and turns one clicking knob of her scope. No, try to get the two of them talking. Iselmir, tell Alot why you awakened. Faye, he is the one needed me, hiding in his own bonebrick like a turtle in its shell. Alot face twists in fury. I never turned it over to you. Good, yes, very good. She rests from her scribbling only to make another adjustment to her scope. I can now see two separate patterns of essence. Where he ebbs, the other flows. It's as if the awakened soul fills the spaces that he leaves empty. She prompts you with a circling of her twist, quill still in hand. Go on. Iselmir, what exactly are you taking from him? Yeah, more than I'm giving. You should ask with I did that old man of his. How the last time he laid a hand on us, I break it in 3 places. Elot's head jerks to the side. That wasn't your decision. It's never been your decision. I was awakening, but now I'm stuck with you. And damned if I let your ninnying drag us both through the scupper. Ech, very good. She lowers her scope and consults her notes. I think I've finally got something we can work with. I tracked Iselmir's essence throughout the exchange. She had a particularly high density index during the most heated portions of their argument, and her essence seemed to localize most clearly in the lower portion of the subject's left rib cage. That's right, around the spleen, which of course means that she is triggered by black bile. No doubt the subject's characteristic melancholy is to blame. Elot blinks back at you. Elot blinks back at you, and in the midst of his perturbation, you're not quite sure who's looking out of his eyes. That's utter horseshit. Sagani eyes are wide and innocent. It does seem as though she got one thing right. She glares at him. Yes, never mind my years of training. I suppose you have a better explanation? You're close. I think Iselmir's appearances are related to potential sources of trouble for Aloth. Belasage carefully stretches her jaw, her gaze darting between you and Aloth. I suppose that could be true. She jots another note. I'll have to check this against other research. He removes the copper bands. Well, and good for you, but what does this mean for me? Belasage frowns at her notes, tapping her cheek with a quill and making a grand show of concentration. However, you catch you catch her stealing a glance at you over the pages. It seems that Isilmer steps in when she determines that you're in danger. It's not clear yet whether this is a help or a hindrance. From my position, I say it's pretty clearly a hindrance. I've got a lot of to process. Regardless, thank you for your help, Mammalian. He does not look at Belasich. She sets her notes on her desk and returns to her scope. Well, I hope this has been as useful to you as it has been to me. I finally have material worth publishing. You'll be the toast of review. Fantra a lot. His grimace melts into a crooked smile. Aye, advancing the right-wise principles of animancy. Just what you've always wanted. As you turn to leave, you catch a darting movement out of the corner of your eye. Belasich is humming to herself, still occupied with her scope, but Alth is holding her notes. He is just about to tuck them into his cloak when he catches you watching. He holds a finger to his lips, his eyes wide and imploring, "Please, I don't want my personal information published like this, especially not after her nonsense." Leave me out of this. He hides the papers in his cloak. Not to worry, we'll see to this on our own. It seems that Iselmer can be a source of both help and harm to Aloth. On the one hand, she steps in when he's under pressure, but on the other hand, she doesn't always resolve situations the way he'd like. Okay, looks like I have completed Alot's side quest. Let's talk to her more. See enter, but I'm busy. I seem to have misplaced my notes. Okay.
Hello? Hello?
Murdered. In a corner of Murdered's labs rests a large, weathered trunk. It seems likely to contain something important, if only by virtue of its size. Leave the trunk alone. Let's talk first to Murdered. Unexpected results. The canine host was listless and unresponsive, but it was determined that this was simply the implanted feeling soul. Yarn resulted in vigorous simulation.
Light, flame, and sound. We'll keep to ourselves.
An animancer scribbles feverishly on a parchment scroll, while his free hand dances through the air, counting of unseen objects. His lips move in a silent discourse. As your shadow falls over his scroll, he looks up at you with mingled perplexity and irritation.
Well met, friend.
Can I help you? He forces a polite smile. Has anything unusual been happening around here? You must be joking. This is the sanatorium. Nothing is usual down here. He pauses. Although, now that I think of it, the patients seem more agitated lately. But they're Kedmesazo's responsibility, not mine. Mildred nods, taking a deep breath. Then, if there's nothing else... just looking around. Then be quick about it and don't touch anything. The sanitarium has a lax visitor policy, but I don't. Without another word, he resumes his work. Mordred mentioned that the sanitarium patients are more agitated than normal, and that Kedman Azo is responsible for their care.
Good day to you.
I'm looking for an expert on awakenings. I hear that Vaylin woman studies them. You should go talk to her instead. What are you working on? My area of focus is Wichts, more specifically how to cure them. Why do you study Wichts? He huffs. What kind of question is that? Just think of all the families that could be healed, the lives that could be restored. What could be more important? His face has reddened, and he turns away from you for a moment. He shakes his head. Animancy has an answer here. I know it. It's simply a matter of working it out. What's a Wicht? A hollowborn who received a transplanted animal soul during infancy. One of Animancy's early efforts to cure the legacy, if not a successful one. He removes his spectacles and wipes his brow. They show signs of developmental abnormalities throughout their childhood, but when they reach adolescence, they became progressive, feral, but still victims in need of care. Transplanting animal souls into children seems like an odd solution. We Animancers were trying to do something about the crisis, better than letting it swallow a generation of children. He stares at the fixed point on the far wall, and despite the controversy, it only went so far because, at first, it seemed to work. People call it the salvation. Children that had never been responsive to any kind of stimuli suddenly seemed aware of their surroundings, of their families. He takes a slow breath. The complications don't begin until puberty, but that's when the incompatibilities between body and soul take shape. Children become violent, ravenous. But we paid dearly for our mistakes, I promise you. Angry mobs hunted down animances and burned down their homes, with them still inside, often as not. People took to calling it the cruel salvation, and many still loathe us for it, but we wanted to stop the legacy as much as anyone. The public begged for our help, and we did the best we could. I still don't know if that absolves us. I see. Good. He looks eager to return to his work. Does the name Helig mean anything to you? Mulder stars. Helig? He was... I mean, a colleague of mine. He was primarily a necromancer, but he was involved in animancy too. He worked at the sanitarium for several years. I dare say everyone here has heard of him. He clears his throat. He left his post recently. I believe he was seeking new opportunities in the Valian republics. He leans forward. The advances they're making in animancy really are quite remarkable. Surely you heard, he coughs again. Perhaps you haven't. I've heard it differently. He slides his spectacles down his nose. Just what are you insinuating? If this is your idea of joke, I assure you it's in very poor taste. Helic wasn't joking, and neither am I. I've had enough of these baseless murder pause. Wait, you spoke to Helic? He is talkative for a dead man. But that's Mother Thrones. If anyone figured out how to do that, it would be him, wouldn't it? He sighs. He sighs and runs a hand over his hair. Very well, yes, I killed him. I killed that beast because nobody else had the spine for it. He was a madman. Years of perverse experiments, twisting healthy souls, torturing damaged souls. And for what? He flayed the essence from Glenfattan indigents for his amusements. He waves down the hall. If the public had known half of his deeds, they'd have razed this place to the ground. He jabs his finger on the desk. He used the sanitarium to disguise his own thick proclivities. He brought shame on all of us and put the entire discipline at risk. I regret nothing. He calms down and sighs you up. Anyway, now you know the whole grisly story. Um, Hardly brave stabbing a man in his sleep. Brave enough for my tastes. I heard the rumor he once laid a 50-man squad to rest on his own. At least I did something. So you killed him to save your own reputation? Moderate snorts. The reputation of the whole discipline, rather. You realize there are groups in this city looking for an excuse to have us all hanged? He shakes his head. I won't see the knowledge we worked so hard for lost because of one man's madness. Helix soul returned to his corpse through sinister magic, and he wants revenge. No doubt. He spreads his hands wide. But no, you understand why I killed him. Why someone had to. If he sent you, I only hope I can convince you to return and slay him once and for all. He has something I need. You'd consider a deal with that monster? He puts his head in his hands. If what I've told you hasn't swayed you, I doubt anything will. I must return to my work. I wish you well. Maud returns back to his papers. Modred confesses to killing Helig, but he also explained that Helig was a vile and dangerous man. I could continue helping Helit, or I could return to the catacombs and finish what Mordred started.
Well met, friend.
Mordred looks up from his scroll. Yes? About Helig. Helig said you stole a grimoire from him. Mordred's brow furrows. His grimoire? What's that madman been telling you? He said you kept it in that trunk over there. Mordred takes the key with a trembling hand, his eyes darting to the trunk behind you. You've been misled. There's no grimoire here, and Helig never intended you to find one. That wretched thing has an insatiable hunger for blood, he shudders. Thank you for denying him. I hope I can convince you now to return and slay him once for all. I'll consider it. Consider also the kind of man he is and the kind of things he's capable of. Don't trust him. I must return to my work. I wish you well. Mordred turns back to his papers.
Hail and well met.
Keeping an eye out.
The edge of the cage are dented and scored with claw marks. Note from Azo. Ripley, I require more copper tubing for my next experiment. Do not requisition it from the sanitarium stores. I don't have the time to deal with the head warden's inevitable questions. Kedman Azo. Kedman Azo was absent from his office and he's evidently been running some secret experiments. I should take this up with the head's warden. Whether this is connected to the Lead and K operations remains to be seen. Sacred Skin. Scouts from the twice split Arrows tribe claimed that at the range elven druids turned into one of Air Glenfall's smaller western ruins and absconded with the hide of an enormous bear that the tribe hunted down 5 generations ago. The tribe of outcasts has been unable to locate the druid and they have received no helps from their fellow Glenfaddans. So let's assign Moonshine again.
I shall make it so.
Northward page and record Batiksa the Pale Lady. Graham, the Midnight Man, and Askrim. I have found patient records suggestive that Kidman Azo has been experimenting on a patient named Graham against his will. Let's check it. Ripley, The Pale Lady. Subject is female, mid-40s, awakened to a past life as a serial murderer, which now frequently emerges as the soul's dominant personality. Subject vacillates between violence and severe depression, resulting from guilt of past deeds. Weak candidate for present research. Subject: The Midnight Man. Subject is male, mid-20s, displays acute dissociations and paranoid delusional tendencies, causing anger and extreme violence. Dangers of working with the subject precludes possibility of further use in present research. Askrim. Subject is a male approximately 17 years of age, admitted for episodes of catatonia followed by occasional violent outbursts. Initial analysis of soul revealed severe fragmentation and essence deficiency. Said deficiency all but eliminates the possibility of utilizing the subject in present research. And the gram. Subject is a male, approximately early 30s, powers of speech absent, presumably as a result of the overfragmentation of his soul. As such, he is the ideal subject for present research. However, experimentation has caused severe pain and induced panic, and I have had to enlist the aid of the guards in transporting him for more recent procedures. Let's talk to Ripley.
Gods keep you.
A young Orlan woman traces her fingers along the spines of the books in front of her. Row by row, her motions quick and skittish, like a bird's. She does not notice you until you are nearly upon her. Oh my, you startled me. Are you supposed to be in here? What do you do here? I mostly have Master Azo set up and clean his equipment. I also keep his office organized since he's too busy to do it himself. Is there nothing else? I need to get back to work. I'm looking for an expert on wearing canings. Me, I'm just Master Azo's assistant, but there's a visiting scholar from Revua here named Belasic. She claims to know about them. Very well. I never thought I'd be taking orders from a stalking statue. If you're here as a client, you'll want to be talking to the Animancer, not me. Okay, let's go to the statue.
Good day, stranger.
Have you learned anything of interest? I found records that Ezo may be running some questionable experiments. Experiments? Cadman Ezo is in charge of patient welfare now. He is not authorized to run any more experiments. I am disappointed in Cadman. I had hoped he would be the one to guide your inquiry. He will be in his office or in the patient's wards. I am granting you immediate access so you can find him. No doubt you will wish to speak to him further on this matter, and I for one am curious as to what he might have to say. Tread carefully in the wards. There are a few dangerous cases. I would ask you that you do your best not to agitate the patients. They have enough troubles as it is. Farewell. Ezo's own records show that he sometimes forced patients to undergo experiments, even when they were unwilling. One patient from the North Ward, Graham, was a frequent test subject. Graham may be able to shed light on whether Ezo has been working with leading K. I have been given access by the head warden to enter the patient's ward. The animancer in charge of patients, Kedman Azo, has been running unauthorized experiments. His suspicious behavior is my best lead to finding the leading AKE agent. Let's talk to her just in case. See enter, but I'm busy. I seem to have misplaced my notes. The head warden says you can go in. Be careful in there. Must have spent all their copper on the upstairs.
Margaren's fire casts light in dark places.
Master Ezo said he'd make me better soon.
Slow and silent.
The crook boards show deep gouge marks. They spaced like folk or elven fingernails. Oh. My tongue rolls sometimes bad. Crooked chalk dolly marks cover the surface of this table. A curved spine twists this woman's posture forward, her greasy hair draped over her large eyes like wine. She smiles at you. You must be visiting someone. Then, noting your appearance, she adds a friendly visit, I hope. Do you know where I might find Azo? I think I've seen him around today. Have you checked the laboratory? It shares a wall with his office. He's been spending most of his time there lately. What do you know about this Animancer Zazo? Oh, I like him very much. Many Animancers could care less about their patients, looks at us like vermin for their experiments, but Master Azo treats us like humans, even the very sick. You can tell he does this to help people. He's helped me understand a great deal about myself, and I know he's done the same for others. It's too bad what they did to him. He hides it well, but I know he's still affected by it. What happened to Azo? Frail eyes dark back and forth, and her voice lowers to just above the whisper. They don't like to talk about it, but there was an accident. He was said to be one of the brightest in Deerwood. That was his reputation here, and was that was what brought me to seek treatment. People say it was ego that drew him to try and solve the legacy, but that's hogwash. Even if he was a bit of showman, he loves his homeland. He thought he could help. He wasn't one to speak of his work, suspected his colleagues might have tried to steal it, but he told me once that he had figured out a way to create a soul. Not a soul exactly, mind you. How did he put it? A proxy, I think he called it. Had some machine that drew energy out of the very ether. Can you imagine? The point is, it was going to help with the legacy. It was going to make Hollowborn into something easier to love and care for. Gods know, that's something we need. Do you know what they call those empty little babies in Odra's gift? No, tell me. They call them buoys, because so many of them are found floating face down in the water. These are mad times. Anyway, Master Azo has scheduled a public demonstration of his work in Copperline. He was so excited. And then, the next day, he was locked in his office, turning away visitors, I heard, and he stopped seeing patients. I don't know exactly what happened, and I don't have the heart to ask him, but I'm glad they're letting him treat people again. Have any of the patients here been acting unusually? Well, there's Batixa, who relives a murder she committed more than 5 lifetimes ago. Idelman, who they say only has half a soul, and who was found collecting the faces of other because he believed his own to be a false one. Graham, he speaks in a language no one understands and wails at night sometimes. Different from their normal behavior, I mean. Well, yes, I suppose, but nothing they didn't volunteer for. Master Azo let us know that a number of patients in the North Ward had volunteered for a new therapy and would be escorted to his laboratory to receive treatment. The North Ward has our most troubled cases. I'm glad some of them have chosen to get help. It needs to me it seems to me it's gotten quieter over there since it started. It's Graham I see them taking in the most. He struggles, but he always was a bit of a wild one. Would I be able to visit the Northward? They like to keep them separate. I don't know that I've ever seen the guards allow a visitor, just Master Aizo. You might ask him. He is very sympathetic. Why are you in here? Behind her hair, her cheeks flush. I don't want to say. You'll think less of me. I wouldn't worry about that. These last few years haven't been kind to me. They haven't been kind to anyone, really. I try not to think of it as personal. I lost my husband and both boys in the Saints War. My daughter. The legacy took her before she was ever mine. I made do. What else can you do? I moved to a tiny place in Ondra's gift, got by mending clothes and on the kindness of strangers when I had to. But I was surviving and the gods were watching over me. I could live with that. Then one day this noblewoman comes in, wants this fancy gown fixed. Georgia think this shade of blue I've never seen before. Only I had. I looked at it and it reminded me of something. I had what they call an awakening. I remember being a noblewoman myself in another life. People doting over me, men doting over me. Me, the best food, the most beautiful home, all the things you'd never dare to dream of. They were mine. It was a poison knowing that, all those things I had that I'll never have in this life. It did something to me. My food started to taste rotten. The walls in my little room seemed to close in around me. I stopped being able to sleep in my own bed. So I came here. It was that or break into an estate and start ordering servants around. It seems like such silly things to worry about. You don't have to tell me, but I can't get past it. And I start to wonder, did the gods choose this life for me? And if so, what terrible thing must I have done to deserve it? Hmm. Maybe the gods took offense to your overindulgence? Frail sighs. Maybe they did. I wish I had known back when I was noble. Maybe I'd have done things differently. Forever. Frail mentioned that Kid Manezo is the only one with the access to the North Ward.
And what does the flame reveal?
I've been hearing screams in the night. It's I'd best be getting back to my watch. The construct turns its head towards you and watches warily. No, speak. Keep your distance. Wichts and that cell back there. We've had incidents when people got close.
Sharp eyes and keen ears.
The children, they keep down here, pure evil in their eyes.
Now here's something.
White leaf. They say I can't leave yet. I don't like this place.
Sharp eyes and keen ears.
Let's see what lies this way.
Keeping an eye out.
something churns and bottles in this tank. The copper wires and conduits are shiny. The device is warm to the touch.
I shall make it so.
Here is Kedmanazo. Okay, let's get back to him later and check. One more room here.
I shall be quiet as a calm sea, which is not very quiet.
Well, I think before I go to him that I have to go for a while to Kednoa for a rest and check something before I go back to Mr. Azo. I wanted to have full health just to be sure. Also, let's learn a few spells. Now that we have some money, check if we have some grimoires here or not.
A few repairs, and this keep will be a sight to see.
Here. A messenger from the Ducal Palace in Defiance Bay has arrived at Kednua. Speak to the messenger in your Great Hall at Kednua. A messenger from the Ducal Palace is waiting for you in your Great Hall at Kednua. Okay, we will do this or finish this later. I think that's it for today. We were able to do some research into the asylum, but I want to finish it next time and then check the catacombs as well for Mordred. So, anyway, thanks for watching. If you liked my playthrough, feel free to follow me on Twitch or Mixer, and feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Enjoy the rest of your day.